In a world where luxury mixes with mystery, there is a secret elite of classic cars, symbols of power and beauty, that have vanished into thin air. From Monaco to Los Angeles, from Tokyo to Dubai, the streets of the world hold a dark secret. The most prestigious cars ever built, vanished in the mystery of theft, are still out there, hidden in the shadows of darkness. These four-wheeled icons have seduced thieves and collectors, blurring the line between desire and crime. An investigation that uncovers a global web of intrigue and mechanical kidnapping. Welcome to the realm of the world's most prestigious cars, missing in the dark. The story of James Bond's Aston Martin DB5, which disappeared into thin air after being stolen from a garage, is a fascinating tale that seems almost straight out of one of the films of the world's most famous secret agent. The DB5 became famous thanks to the 1964 film, Goldfinger, the third film in the James Bond series, starring Sean Connery. In this film, the DB5 was presented as 07's iconic car, equipped with an array of incredible gadgets, including hidden machine guns, infrared cameras, and even the famous BMT 216A number plate. After the success of Goldfinger, the DB5 became one of the most recognizable and beloved cars in film history, appearing in other Bond films, such as Thunderball, 1965, GoldenEye, 1995, Casino Royale, 2006, and Skyfall, 2012. The story of the car in real life, however, took an unusual turn in 1997, when a DB5 used in the filming of Goldfinger and Thunderball was stolen from a hangar at the Boca Raton Airport in Florida. The stolen car was part of a collection of vintage vehicles and was estimated to be worth over $1 million at the time. Authorities and classic car enthusiasts were shocked, fearing that the iconic DB5 might have been dismantled for spare parts or even destroyed. Pugliese had purchased the Aston Martin DB5, one of the four Aston models also featured in No Time to Die, for the modest sum of $275,000. An investment destined for dreary storage in a hangar from which it could only come out on special occasions of car shows and exhibitions organized in various locations in the United States. Until one night, the famous Aston was mysteriously stolen.
The Porsche 550 Spider is one of the most iconic and legendary cars in motoring history, mainly due to its association with actor James Dean. It was one of the first racing cars produced by the German car manufacturer Porsche. It was introduced in 1953 and immediately stood out for its lightweight, compact and highly competitive design. It was a dedicated racing car with a mid-rear engine and aerodynamic bodywork. James Dean, the American actor famous for films such as Rebel Without a Cause and The Giant, was a great car enthusiast and talented driver. He bought a Porsche 550 Spider in 1955 and christened it Little Bastard. Dean was already a motor racing enthusiast, and the Porsche 550 Spider gave him the opportunity to express his passion for sports driving. He immediately set about improving the performance of the car, which was already fast and maneuverable. Unfortunately, the history of James Dean's Porsche is tragically linked to his death. On the 30th of September 1955, on his way to a car race in Salinas, California, Dean collided head-on with a 1950 Ford Tudor at the intersection of Route 46, now Route 41, and Route 41, now Route 46. The accident occurred around 5:45 p.m. and was fatal for Dean, who died instantly. His Porsche 550 Spider was badly damaged and became an integral part of the James Dean legend. In the early 1960s, as the wreck was being transported from Florida to California, it disappeared. Today, the Flight Museum in Illinois has offered a $1 million reward to anyone who can help it be found. The Chrysler Norseman was a concept car designed by the American car manufacturer Chrysler in 1956. This car was specially designed for the European market and was to be exhibited at the New York Auto Show in 1957. However, its story became famous due to the tragic shipwreck of the Andrea Doria. The Chrysler Norseman was a particularly advanced car for its time, with a futuristic design and cutting-edge technical innovations. However, the Norseman's fate changed dramatically before it could even be presented to the public. On the 25th of July 1956, the Norseman was loaded aboard the SS Andrea Doria, a luxury Italian passenger ship, in Genoa, Italy. The ship was en route to New York, with the Norseman on board along with numerous other passengers and valuable cargo. However, on the night of the 25th of July, the Andrea Doria collided with the ship MS Stockholm off the coast of Nantucket Island, off Massachusetts. The impact caused severe damage to the Andrea Doria, resulting in the loss of life of 46 crew members and passengers. The ship began to sink rapidly, forcing the evacuation of thousands of people. Fortunately, most of the passengers were saved thanks to the timely rescue efforts, but the Chrysler Norseman was not so lucky. The car was in the lower holds of the Andrea Doria, and when the ship began to tilt and sink, the Norseman was dragged down with it into the sea abyss. In addition to being a human tragedy, the sinking of the Andrea Doria also represented the loss of one of the most innovative and futuristic cars ever built by Chrysler. The Norseman was never recovered and still lies on the seabed of the Atlantic Ocean today, becoming an integral part of the history of one of the most famous maritime shipwrecks of the 20th century. The 1912 Renault Type CB Coupe de Ville aboard the real Titanic belonged to William Carter of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Carter had purchased the car while traveling in Europe with his wife and children. The Carter family survived the Titanic disaster, but Carter's servant, Alexander Cairns, and his driver, Augustus Oldworth, perished in the tragedy. To add evidence to the Coupe de Ville's presence in the Titanic, William Carter filed a claim for $5,000 worth of compensation on the car with Lloyd's of London Insurance Company. Since Robert Ballard discovered the wreck of the Titanic in 1985, many have shown great interest in the Renault Type CB Coupe de Ville. Many artifacts have been recovered from the sunken ship and have been auctioned at high prices. The Coupe de Ville that had been shipped in a crate crammed in the front of the ship is believed to be resting relatively intact on the seabed. Although the classic car may still be salvageable, 100 years of saltwater immersion may have put it to the test. Since the Titanic was discovered at the bottom of the Atlantic, several expeditions have attempted to locate Renault without luck. It is likely that there is not much left of the car, but for many treasure hunters it would represent an important object to be recovered. In James Cameron's documentary Ghosts of the Abyss, made in 2003, Cameron himself makes several trips to the vicinity of the wreck and, near the hold, the remains of a car are visible. In July 2021, an image began circulating on social media that appeared to show the silhouette of the car. If ever recovered, the Coupe de Ville could be valued in the millions of dollars, as was the case with the Renault Twin that was fully restored to the same color and specifications as Carter's and was sold at an RM auction. The voiture noire in question left the Mulsanne factory in 1937. It was the second Atlantic coupe to leave the Bugatti factory, destined to become the cover model in the company's brochure, a true example of power and style from the hands of French designers. The voiture noire was never registered to an owner and was the only Atlantic coupe built with a 3.3-liter straight-8 engine. As Bugatti explains, it was Jean's personal car, driven only by Jean Bugatti and a few friends. We are talking about a car whose history is, for the most part, lost between myth and legend, of which we can only reconstruct with certainty the birth and mysterious disappearance in 1940, at the beginning of the invasion of France by the German army. Ettore Bugatti recognized the need to protect his creations from the terrible bombardments that would hit the city. To escape the progressive invasion of the Nazis, in 1940, Ettore boarded all his instruments and machines on a train leaving for Bordeaux. The Atlantic was loaded onto that train, but it never arrived at its destination. It is here, as Bugatti explains, that all traces of the voiture noire disappear. Alain Dolphus, Frane was a famous French coach builder operating in Levallois-Perret, a suburb on the northwestern outskirts of Paris. The company was founded in 1903 by Jean-Baptiste Frane, a carriage upholsterer, after an apprenticeship with Binder. It was later taken over by his son Marius. Frane fitted prestigious chassis Bentley, Delage, Hispano-Suiza and Rolls-Royce, as well as the Delahaye Type 135. Production of Frane bodies ceased at the end of 1955. The J506 was a two-door convertible on a long wheelbase chassis, with 3 small wipers and two-tone paint. It was first displayed on the Frane stand at the 1934 Paris Salon and then sold to Emile Bégin, one of Sadovich's loyal customers and co-driver of Prince Nicolas at the 1935 Le Mans race. Bégin, who became a wealthy perfume manufacturer in Algeria, left the wreck of the SJ506 on his property in 1962 in the turmoil of the Algerian War of Independence. The Kellner Town car J516, 2541 was also owned by Bégin, as a replacement car for the Frane, and was lost during the Algerian War. It was the 3rd of July 1971, exactly 50 years ago, when Jim Morrison closed his eyes for the last time, for good, leaving the world of music and beyond a little poorer in ideas and talent. The star of The Doors, the Lizard King, also had a thing for cars, or at least one car. The one Elektra president Jack Holtzman gave him as a prize for the band's first recorded album in 1967, a Night Mist Blue 1967 Shelby GT 500 with 355 horsepower and a 4-speed manual gearbox. A muscle car of the kind that makes you bounce back for its grandeur, its chivalry, and its style. Jim chose the Mustang after seeing the 350 GT of his Los Angeles hairdresser, Jay Sebring. Because of the color, it was called the Blue Lady, elegant and rocker-like. Morrison often drove it through the streets of Los Angeles, breathing in the air of freedom. In the summer of 1967, he drove her to a desert area near Palm Springs to start filming a movie in which he would also star. The film was to be titled Highway, only to be changed to a more artistic Highway, an American Pastoral. The story was about a hitchhiker who robbed a car, the Shelby Mustang, after killing the owner. Morrison, however, was also without half measures with the Blue Lady. He collected speeding tickets and accidents, and was often driving not exactly sober. Today Morrison's Shelby GT 500 is still a mystery, for it has never been seen again in Los Angeles, nor did it accompany the star in his final years. According to the most credited version for the car's disappearance, in the autumn of 1969 Jim drove into a telephone pole along Sunset Boulevard in the City of Angels. The singer got out of the car and abandoned it, probably clouded by alcohol, to spend the evening at a club, forgetting the latest damage. The next morning he was gone. The end of the car and the man are shrouded in the same smoky fate.
The mystery of the Ferrari that disappeared 50 years ago, worth millions, but nobody knows where it is. A mystery worthy of Indiana Jones or Relic Hunter is that of a specific Ferrari from the 1950s. Produced with the intention of racing it in amateur races, this car has been lost. It was the year 1953 when the Ferrari marque, in splendid form in that decade, presented a sports car of truly impressive design. We are talking about the Ferrari 375 mil Maglia, a car that with its 12-cylinder engine could reach the absurd, for the time, speed of 300 km per hour. The car, a direct homage to the Ferraris that took part in the various editions of the Mille Miglia, a famous endurance race at the time, was born with the aim of winning the World Sport Prototype Championship, a result it achieved in its first year. The car, in various setups, would also participate in numerous endurance races. But its short life is shrouded in mystery due to only a single example among the 26 built by Ferrari. Today, 25 of the 26 Ferrari 375 mil Maglias produced are still in mint condition. But nothing is known about chassis number 0378AM. The car was commissioned and purchased by Dr. Enrico Wax, a brand enthusiast and avid collector of Ferraris and other Italian supercars. The car was born for the track, but Wax, perhaps for fear of ruining it, never took it racing.